everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and this is the very first Manga Monday video. I asked on my Instagram if you wanted to see a monthly manga roundup, just sharing the manga that I read that month, giving you a little synopsis, my thoughts, and also my rating. And people were interested, so I'm gonna do these every single month, and yeah, I'm just gonna go through the manga that I read. This is my pile of manga that I read. Not everything, but since they did belong to the same series, I just wanted to kind of group them together. Let's start off with Fly Me to the Moon that I mentioned in my January favorites. This also does have an anime available on Crunchyroll if you want to check it out. It's called Tonikawa. Both of them are adorable and the anime follows the manga to a T, so it is very good. It also does have you can watch it subbed or you can watch it dubbed, so it's very accessible. But Fly Me to the Moon is a very adorable, wholesome. So the two protagonists are Nasa Yusaki and Tsukasa Yusaki, and it's a little bit of a spoiler, but things happen so quickly in this story. So you have a very nerdy, smart kid, Nasa, who grows up in a very eccentric household. His parents, one is an architect, the mom is just very very quirky. So you have him who grows up and is just very studious, doesn't really have much of a social presence. And one day when he's walking back home, he meets her, falls in love with her. He wants to get to know her, and he goes out to approach her, and he almost gets run over by a truck. Like it just happens like that. And she saves him. That's when their love story begins. And yeah, it's super dramatic. But yeah, he just falls in love with her. Well, he becomes infatuated with her, but then she disappears. He starts kind of looking for her after he graduates from high school, takes up just very simple jobs. And he was so intelligent, he easily could have gone into a university, but instead he's kind of like on a mission to find her. And she mysteriously appears after his 18th birthday, and then from there they get married. I know, spoilers, but that's when the story picks up, and that's when you get more of what makes this series very special. Because although they rush into getting married, I missed a very important detail. So before they get married, after she saves his life, he asked her out, and she said only if they get married. So it's this promise that at the time I guess sounded very far-fetched, but it does end up happening. So yes, after they get married, that's when the story picks up. And this story is kind of a slice of life with a little bit of a supernatural touch to it, because although they haven't really confirmed exactly who she is and what she is, we know that she's not human. So yes, and the day-to-day life, what they experience, how they're like, this relationship blossoms out of this very like traumatic and dramatic event. It's very cute. It's super cute. Both characters are just adorable. You have Nasa, who absolutely loves her and adores her and idolizes her, and then she kind of starts discovering things about him that makes her fall in love with him, such as his like kind heart. It's just adorable. It's super wholesome. It's a really lighthearted, fun read. The anime is also really fun as well. Very funny at times. So I think this is so precious. Volume 4 is coming out soon. I just pre-ordered it. It's actually coming out in March. So I'm very excited to read that, although I feel like I will know what happens because of the anime. But that's okay, because I do enjoy reading this. But yeah, this is just wholesome, fun. It's just so cute. Like, you root for both of them, and I really want to know what or who she is. Like, there's been some clues, but I just want to know what are you? Who are you? She's adorable. Nasa's adorable. And together, they're so cute. If I were to rate this, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Yeah, it's good, it's fun, and I think people would enjoy it. If you don't really feel like spending the money on the manga, just check out the anime, but I do like both a lot. The next series we have is Perfect World. I read volumes 2, 3, and 4 this past month, and I am obsessed with this. So obsessed. So I briefly spoke about this in my February favorites, but what this storyline is about is 2 adults. So you have Kawana right here, and you have Ayukawa, and they met back in high school. So she was the shy artsy girl, he was the star athlete, the star basketball player. So she obviously was she was crushing on him back then. They lost contact after high school, and then later in life as adults they meet up again in their workplace. So she's an interior designer and he's an architect. Where did I leave off? I had to get another battery. So yeah, she's an interior designer, he's an architect. But during the time that they lost contact with one another, Ayukawa got into an accident, so now he is permanently disabled. He has a spinal cord injury. So yes, she doesn't know this until, well, when they first meet, until he's about to leave and they bring out his wheelchair. So from there, she still has feelings for him, but hasn't really accepted that yet. And the first volume I did mention in my favorites, it is pretty ableist, because you have Kawana kind of questioning her feelings, whether she can love someone who's disabled. Like there's just a lot of back and forth on her behalf, and I guess also a lot of lack of understanding about his disability, what it means to be disabled. I do feel like you need her and her ableist thoughts and concerns in the first volume for you to get that character development that she experiences with the volume 2, volume 3, volume 4. So in a sense, I appreciate that. Kept it very, I guess very real in my opinion. So I did appreciate that. With each volume you have her wanting to become part of his world, wanting to understand his disability more. She also becomes more immersed in that world, which is really nice. She befriends a girlfriend of a boy who's also in a wheelchair, as well as a wife that has her husband in the wheelchair. She also starts working on a project that involves in building an accessible home. So it becomes a very touching story. You do get some flashback scenes with each volume that show them in high school and how they met and everything, which is very sweet. But you also get a lot of sadness in this story. Like I stayed up till like 1 or 2 in the morning finishing each volume. I would do 1 volume a night and I was just sobbing in bed. It is sad, but it's a beautiful, touching story, but it is sad. There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs. This is the first story that makes me hate a nurse. So there's a little spoiler for you, but yeah, what these two have is super sweet. And I mean, you can tell from the covers that they do eventually get together, but how they achieve that, I mean, is pretty dramatic. So yeah, it's super sweet. It is sad, but it's something different. And another thing that I did enjoy about this series was that I was reading about 2 adults, so it made it a lot more relatable to me. As much as I enjoy the high school romances and I mean those type of things, I do appreciate people around my age. So yeah, I really do recommend this. If I were to rate this, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I just find it so enjoyable. There is going to be 2 volumes coming out in April. I've already pre-ordered them, so volume 5 and 6 are coming in the way, well, later in the spring. But I really did enjoy this. It's just sad. So if you plan on picking this up, you just have to know that you need some Kleenex nearby. if you're an emotional person like I am. And finally, I want to talk about what perhaps is my favorite manga series. I have not shut up about this series, especially on TikTok. This is Sweat and Soap. This is the manga that perfectly illustrates don't judge a book by its cover, because I would go to Barnes and Noble and I would see this and I would be like, what the fuck is this? Like, seriously, like, it just looks so odd. Like, I'm not gonna kink shame anyone, but it looks very odd. The title itself, I was just like, Sweat and Soap, what the hell? And I kept seeing this being recommended over and over and over, especially by Jkissa out. And you know, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna buy it. It was a little awkward checking out with this guy at Barnes & Noble, but I read the first volume and I was immediately hooked. So this story, the two main protagonists that you see on every single cover, so you have Asako and you have Kotaro Natori, and they both work at the same place. So this is another story with adults working in an office setting. So basically they work in a company that would be the equivalent of like maybe like a Bath and Body Works or a body shop, a Yves Rocher. So it's like a bath company, and their main specialty is soaps. That's where you get the soap in the title. So he is part of he's a project specialist. He comes up with these soaps and she loves the soaps. And she's the sweat, he's the soap, basically. So the way they meet is very awkward. It's just so weird. Like, I think out of the 3 stories that I mentioned today, the protagonist that I relate to the most is Asako. She is just awkward, very self-conscious. She's gone through a lot of bullying in her life. So yeah, I relate to her a lot. And I know if I was in her situation, I would have been so just scared and weirded out by the whole how they met. But I also would have been like fangirling if I met the person in charge of creating like my favorite product. So I completely understand that. But they met, they get into a relationship. He becomes super infatuated with her and her scent. So that was what initially attracted him to her. And I mean, she was just, you know, kind of like in awe and in shock that she was meeting the guy behind her favorite soaps. And another thing with this story is, I already mentioned that she's very self-conscious. So her thing is she's very self-conscious because she sweats. Since she was little, she got bullied, called it a stinko. So there's a lot of just, you know, her feeling very self-conscious about her sweat, about her scent, and she meets the guy who just loves that about her. He loves her scent, and that's how they develop and begin their relationship. So that's volume 1. I read that last month. So with each volume, they start building their relationship, learning more about one another, learning about their strengths as well as their weaknesses. And for a long time, you have Asako who just kind of sees, I'm gonna call him Natori because that's what she refers to him. She calls him by his last name out of like politeness for most of the series. So you have her looking up to him as this like perfect, you know, you're extroverted, very confident man, and everyone in the office loves him. He's like the office celebrity because he's the one that develops the product. So you have her thinking she's not good enough for him, and he kind of proving, well, not proving, they have really great communication, which I really appreciate. So you have him constantly reassuring her to try out new things, to be more self-confident. So throughout this series, you have her building, just taking little baby steps in building her self-confidence. There's one moment in the series where she buys a blue scrunchie, which honestly is not that big of a deal. Yeah, I know, blue scrunchie, not a big deal. But I mean, she was practically invisible her whole life. She wanted to be invisible. She did not want anyone to notice her and her sweat. So even something as small as buying a colorful and bright scrunchie was like a step towards becoming a little more free and more confident. So I don't know why that moment just really touched me. And yeah, so with each volume they become more comfortable with one another. You have them meeting the family, and I mean, just looking at the cover art alone, you see how scared she is, and then with each volume she becomes more comfortable. And yeah, it's a beautiful story. I love it. It's definitely aimed for adults. There are moments where they show their I guess just intimate moments, them having sex, which it's normal. It's normal adult stuff, normal relationship stuff. So if you're young in here, you're gonna see some boobies, okay? But we don't actually see much of the boobs other than their shape, so there's no like nipples or anything like that. It's not hentai. It's just a story about two adults in a relationship. I love seeing their day-to-day life and their struggles and all of that, and it's just adorable. It's wholesome. Both of them are so likable, and even the supporting characters like her family, their co-workers, like everything is just so, it's such a great read. Such a great read. So I highly recommend this. I would get past the weird title and the weird cover, especially the first two are kind of weird, then they just get adorable. Yeah, so don't judge a book by its cover. Check it out. It is amazing. Like I said, I already pre-ordered volume 6 and 7. So excited for that. But yeah, I love this. I could not recommend Sweat and Soap more. I understand the hype 100%. If I had to rate Sweat and Soap, I would give it, honestly, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I just really love it. It's entertaining, it's touching, it's wholesome. You just root for both of them so much, but especially Asako, if you're someone like me who, you know, doesn't have the best of self-confidence and you experience some bullying, like just socially awkward, yeah, you're going to relate to her and you're going to be rooting for Asako so much. I just love her so much. So those were the manga that I read in February. I'm currently reading My Androgynous Boyfriend, which I'm most likely going to finish before the end of February, but I'll add this to the March pile because of yeah, it's pretty much the end of February. So if you read any manga or books in the month of February, let me know in the comments below. If you want to check out any of these stories that I mentioned, let me know in the comments below. I really do recommend them. I think they're fun. If you like romance, you will enjoy this. And I'm definitely a very romance heavy manga reader. Maybe because I'm single, I don't know, but I just like these stories, man. Like, I just like them. I used to be a Nicholas Sparks girl back in the day. Now I've gone to this, so definitely an upgrade, that's for sure. So if you're brand new, make sure to subscribe to keep up with my videos, not only my Manga Mondays, but also my other videos that I post throughout the week. And yes, I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!